What's up guys, and welcome back to Project Z Garage. Today I want to show you guys a new tool that I picked up off of Amazon. I will throw the affiliate links down below if you're interested in it. And the tool that we are going to be reviewing is this SparkPlug Gap tool that we got off of Amazon. Now it's funny, we kind of don't think about gapping our spark plugs because a lot of times we usually go to the store and just ask for, I need spark plugs for a certain car, and we're guessing that the gapping is correct. But if you're running any type of modifications to your car, or if you're running more boost out of your car, a lot of times you need to reduce or make the gapping on your spark plugs smaller. A lot of times you can order spark plugs that are, colder, so the smaller the gap between the electrode, the colder the range is, or the colder the gapping is, and vice versa, the hotter, the wider it is. Now a lot of times on boosted applications, they call for either 1 or 2 steps colder depending on how much boost you're running. Now the higher the airflow and the air fuel mixture, the force that it's going into the cylinder, a lot of times if your spark gapping is too big, you could blow that spark out and cause detonation, dead cylinders. You can, well, not really call it dead, misfires. Let's go with that. So you can cause misfires. So a lot of times the first thing you do is change out your spark plugs. Now I'm looking to do some work on the BMW and upgrade the ignition system on the BMW as we're raising boost, doing tuning, and it usually calls any type of stage 2, stage 2 plus, which is pretty much just bolt-ons with a stage 2 plus tune. A lot of times they ask for 1 step colder. And I was thinking, we go online and we go to these stores and we just guess that hopefully they're sending us the right gapping for our applications. It just says 1 step colder plugs or whatever. We are going to be running new spark plugs 1 step colder, and we are also adding the Dynon coil packs, which are supposed to give about 10% more juice or power to these spark plugs to help with a better spark. Stronger sparks, better burning of, I guess it helps with the combustion of the air fuel mixture and improves all of that. Well, I was thinking, I would really like to check what the gapping is, because some people say, your gapping is, should be whether it's 0.22 millimeters thickness, or not thickness, gapping, or it may be wider or less, and you have to figure out what works best in your application. So I wanted to know what the gapping was on the plugs, and on my new plugs, and if I needed to either reduce the plug size, not the plug size, but the gapping on the plugs. Maybe they are all the same, maybe they get bounced around in shipment, and they may all be off by a little. A lot of times they're packed with a certain way so that doesn't happen, but you never know. It could be one plug is off than the other. So I might be being a little too going too in depth in it, but let's just take a look at this. This kit comes with a kind of a spark plug adjusting tool, and it also comes with the gauges to check the gapping on the spark plug. So let's open this up. It comes with some directions that you can look at here. So it comes with feeler gauges, which is what you'll use to check the gaps, the size of the gap, and then it also comes with the gap tool. And it comes with some directions here to show you how it works. So now let's open these up so you guys can take a look at what it comes with. Now this is the feeler gauges. These are in different. Here we go. These are pretty much blades that are different thicknesses, and they're labeled so you can know what each of the blades are. And this feeler gauge, some of them are in inches and some of them are in millimeters. I believe this one, yes, this one's in millimeters. So this feeler gauge goes from 0.03 to 1 millimeter thickness. And on each blade you can see what the thickness is. So this one right here is the largest at 1 millimeter. Now that's a very huge gap if you're talking about spark plug gapping. And then now we have the tool here. Now this feeler gauges, these are normally made out of steel or you know, metal. You could get them in stainless steel. They may be a little more expensive, but you may want to invest in that if you don't use it very often. Or what you'll have to do, like this one, as you can see in packaging, it's been oiled, you know, to stop any type of rust or corrosion. Because the last thing you want is your feeler gauges getting corroded, because that will mess up your sizing and how accurate they are. Now, just as an example, I pulled out a spark plug, an old spark plug that I have. I believe this was for either the Q3 or the A4. So this is an old spark plug. Now normally spark plugs are sent to you like this. It has this like a little cardboard ring on it. Let me zoom in just so to make this a little easier for you to see what I'm talking about. So as you see here, it has this little cardboard, and this cardboard is a little bit taller than the grounding strap on the spark plug, and that's supposed to help, you know, in transportation and stop it from getting damaged. The other thing is you should always check the porcelain on your spark plug, because these could crack. And I've had brand new spark plugs come where these are damaged, and if you just install them without paying attention, you wonder why your spark plug isn't working correctly or you're getting misfires and things like that. So let's take that off. And now you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see from the distance there, I'll zoom in more. We have, this is like the grounding strap, and then there's the electrode in the end there. Let me see, can I zoom in more for you guys to see this? That'd be cool if you can. So right there, you can see the electrode and the grounding strap. And the space between it is what we're measuring. So for this spark plug, I believe it should be around the point, I think it's 0.8 of a millimeter to, I think it's between 0.75 to 0.8 of a millimeter. It should be the gapping there. So what you would do is you have your feeler gauges here, which we're going to look, let's start off at the smaller range, which should be let's do 0.75. Well, let's do 0.7. So you'll go to that blade, and I don't know, it may be because it's reflective, I don't know if you can see there, it says 0.75 millimeter. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your spark plug, and you're going to take this, and it should slide in between the two. Okay, this one goes through very easily, so it's definitely probably a little thicker than that. And I believe this should be around, for stock applications, I believe it's 0.8 of a millimeter. So it could be between 0.75 or 0.8. So let's go to the next one up. There. Alright, that one is not bad. It's pretty close. So that's how the feeler gauges work, and you would look at look up your car's specifications for your engine model type to figure out what the standard spark plug range or gapping needs to be. You could check your spark plug to see if that is what the gapping is supposed to be, or I mean, you could double check and see if your spark plugs are correct. Now let's say you do a bunch of mods, you increase the boost, and now you want to go a step colder. Now this is where this tool comes in, and what you're going to do is this this is just a nicer way of what people used to do in the past, which is either literally just take the spark plug, flip it over, and just tap it with on the table, or with a hammer or something. They would tap it, but that normally you could bend these things wrong or break the spark plug. So yeah, this is kind of a tool that you won't use all the time, but what you would do is take the spark plug, and we're going to throw it in here like so. Well, let's loosen this up so the spark plug can fit in there nicely. And as you can see, the spark plug is in there nicely like that. And then we want to leave it so the ground strap and the electrode is pointing up, so you can get your feeler gauge in there. And we're just gonna snug this, so now it's snug onto the spark plug there, and we're gonna find what we want. So let's say we want to go down to 0.75 of a millimeter. So 0.75 was a little loose, so that's what we want it to be. We would get the 0.75 blade from your feeler gauge, and we would slide that into the space of the spark plug. Alright, and then what you would do is you would slowly crank down on the top part here, right? You're going to screw it down, and you're going to slowly squeeze that ground strap. And as you do that, you're going to constantly see how tight it is. Alright, and then that feels pretty tight. We have a little bit of gapping there. And what we can do is take it back out, because there may be a little bit of spring in the spark plug, so you might have to go a little bit more, but we can check it again. And then right there, see, it's still a little loose. You might want it a little tighter than that. I think you should feel a little bit of a drag on the feeler gauge. And then what we can do is just a little bit more, and then we'll back it off. I'm going to try it again. And then voila, that's pretty tight. And you can see there's a little bit of drag on it when I put the feeler gauge in there. A little bit of a drag. So that's kind of where we want it to be. We don't want to be too tight, because you really don't want to flex the grounding strap too much, or else you can damage the spark plug. But this does have I feel like it has a little bit of drag on it. I can get it through. It goes all the way through, so that's good. And now we know that this spark plug has been gapped to 0.75 millimeters. And you know, if that's where we want to be, that's where we know, okay, that's great. And then we could just pretty much follow the same steps and check all the rest of spark plugs. I mean, this is a good tool with the feeler gauge, at least, just if you want a feeler gauge just to see where your spark plugs are. And if you want to make them colder, you can. A lot of times, if you're going to do this, you probably should get new spark plugs. And if you can get them already set to where you need them to be, great. But if you can't, you can get a new set of spark plugs and then use this tool to pretty much gap them to the 1 step colder, 2 step colder, depending on what your power, how much boost you're running, what stage of performance upgrades you have on your car. So it's a nifty tool. This kit here I think was under 20 bucks on Amazon, so not very expensive. It's not really something you use all the time. I mean, I guess if you are racing a lot, or you know, drag racing or racing in general, it may be something where after, you know, a couple of track events, you might want to pull your plugs out and double check and make sure that they're still within spec. But you know, I'm one of those people that I kind of want to know how things work, and I want to confirm that what you buy, or whether it's online or from a store, that you know, they tell you that it is a certain gapping, and this is a way that you can confirm that the gapping is correct on your spark plugs. simple tool, not too expensive. If it's just something you just want to learn, you know, maybe you want to learn about how the gapping of the spark plug affects the performance of your engine. Maybe you might want to have different sets of spark plugs gapped at different distances, just to see how that would affect the fuel consumption or how your fuel is burned in your motor. Definitely you wouldn't want to just do this willy-nilly. You would definitely need to talk to your tuner and to a performance, one of these performance shops that you take your car to, and let them kind of explain where they think, or if they can explain to you where your car and your engine, what type of performance gains you have, and how this can help or deter, or try to deter you. Because the last thing you want to do is make the gapping too big or too small, and then you don't have the proper spark or length of spark to burn the fuel mixture in your motor. So be careful when you're doing this, but it's definitely a cool tool that you can use to understand how, well, not how, but kind of understand what the gapping of your current spark plugs are, or even if you want to try to gap your spark plugs yourself to either 1 step colder or 2 step colder. But definitely do your research, talk to people that are a little more advanced or more knowledgeable than I am, to find out how you can make this tool work for you, or to figure out what is the best gapping for your spark plugs, for your power levels, and for the upgrades that you have on your car. Alright guys, that's it for this quick little tool review, and let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.